Chag Sameach. My name is Monica Gordon, and along with Stephen, we have been members here since 1983. Hard to believe. Not only am I a congregant, but I've had the honor of teaching 7th grade here for the past 10 years or so. In these past 41 years, a lot of family life has transpired here. My daughter's baby naming, my son's brit milah, their b'nai mitzvahs, the death of our parents, the horror of 9/11 when so many congregants came together here, and Jewish holidays galore. But it wasn't until the day after October 7th that my connection to this synagogue became deeper and, in a sense, a lifeline. The beauty of this connection meant that I didn't need to explain how I was feeling, because I truly lacked the language. My non-Jewish friends meant well, and I'm so grateful for their support, but they didn't get, nor could they conceive, of the deep pain and generational angst I was feeling. But here at the synagogue, you did. As the weeks and months passed and the vitriol of Jew hatred exploded in America, I needed the comfort and safety here. A wise friend of mine, himself the son of a Holocaust survivor, said to me years ago that anti-Semitism is the reason that the Jewish people have survived the millennia. It rears its ugly head when we Jews get too comfortable in our countries. When Jew hatred rises, Jews tend to turn somewhat inward to each other. I see that happening now. I want to thank Rabbi Brown, Cantor Becker, Fawn Mendel, and my colleagues at the religious school for helping to create this sense of belonging and acceptance during these painful times. We need each other now more than ever. Toda Rabah, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. My name is Stephen Gordon. Monica and I and our two children, Alexandra and Zachary, have been members here at SSTTE for 41 years. And it is an honor to share a few words with you this evening. A question I have pondered from time to time is whether I am a Jewish American or an American Jew. And while it sounds a bit sophomoric, if not purely semantic, it's actually a fundamental question of identity. The answer is different now, I think, than it was when I was younger. And others, looking out, seeing me from their perspective, may reach a different conclusion than I would myself as I look inward. It's a tricky question with an elusive answer that changes over time and depends upon who is answering. Am I an American who happens to be Jewish, or am I a Jew who happens to be an American? I am, of course, both Jewish and American. It's not a matter of one or the other. I'm both, but when I start to dig down to the core, the emes, as they say, what am I? It's not an academic exercise. It's a simple and yet profound inquiry into my identity, my place in the world. It's been a year since October 7th, a year of confusion, sorrow, anger, fear. It's been a year of war and death in Israel and Gaza, a year of campus and street protests here, a year of more obvious and widespread anti-Semitism everywhere. Frustration, disappointment, worry, despair, not a good year. Not for any of us, and I think particularly not a good year for Jews. But my stubborn optimism and my unstinting faith remain intact, and I cling to a belief rooted in Jewish teaching and practice, buttressed by anecdotal and historical evidence, that as vile and depraved as people can sometimes be, so too are they kind and caring. For me, it's been easier to see the bad this year, but it's still possible to experience the good. Not everything in the wider world is bad, and not everything here is good, but it strikes me that the bad is mostly what I see on TV or read about online or in the papers, while the good is what I experience in my personal life, here, in my shul, among my SSTTE family. The bad is more secondhand, the good is more hands-on. This synagogue community has sustained me through this tumultuous, difficult year. I find friends here who share my simchas and my tzuras. I find intellectual challenge, social engagement, spiritual exploration. I've been actively involved now for decades because it pays off. The rewards of being an actively engaged congregant far outweigh the investment of time, money, and energy. The horrific events of this last year, including our own corrosive politics, have weighed me down, saddened, and discouraged me. But my experience of SSTTE has buoyed me, allowed me to find shalom, peace, and shleimut, wholeness, in a tattered, fragmented world. All of which brings me back to where I started. It is possible for me to imagine my life outside of America, a home I deeply love and greatly admire, but a home that may go astray to become hostile and antithetical to its own core principles. But it is impossible to imagine my life outside of Judaism. I may be forced to forsake America, but I will always adhere to my Jewish faith, tradition, and principles. I am American now, but may not always remain so. But I am and always will be Jewish. So it turns out I'm a Jew who lives in and loves America. I guess that makes me an American Jew for now, hopefully forever. Shana Tova.